Hello friends, before we dive into how AWS is built, let's make sure we all understand the basic concept of cloud computing. It's much simpler than it sounds. Think about how you get electricity for your house. Do you build your own power plant? Of course not. You just plug your devices into a wall outlet and you pay for the electricity you use. Now imagine what it would be like if you had to build your own power plant just to turn on the lights. It would be incredibly difficult, expensive, and a lot of work. Well, that's what building a website or running a business online used to be like. What is the cloud? The cloud is just a simple name for a massive network of computers and data centers all around the world. These computers are owned and managed by a company like Amazon. Cloud computing is simply using their computers and their network over the internet instead of buying your own. Just like you plug into the electrical grid for power, with cloud computing, you plug in to this huge network of computers and use their services whenever you need them. This model has some huge benefits for us. You don't have to buy expensive servers or build a data center. You just pay for the services you use. You only pay for what you use. If your website is busy, you might use more and pay more. If it's quiet, you use less and pay less. You can easily ask for more or fewer computers as your needs change. This is very hard to do if you own all the hardware yourself. Companies like AWS do all the hard work to make sure their computers are safe, secure, and always running. So, in a nutshell, cloud computing is just a way to rent computer services over the internet, which saves us a ton of time, money, and effort. Now that we understand this, we can talk about how AWS organizes all of these computers around the world using regions and availability zones. To understand the concept of availability zone, we need to understand about data center. What is a data center? It's just a huge, secure building filled with thousands of powerful computers. Think of it as a giant high-tech warehouse for computers. It has its own power, cooling systems, and security to make sure everything runs perfectly. So a data center is just one single building full of computers. Now a single data center is great, but what if something goes wrong with it? This is where the availability zone, or AZ, comes in. An availability zone is a group of one or more data centers. These data centers are located in the same general area, but they are physically separate from each other. Think of it like this. An availability zone is a safe neighborhood of computer warehouses. Each warehouse has its own power grid, so if there's a problem in one, the others are not affected. So an availability zone is a group of separate data centers. Finally, an AWS region is a large geographic area, like a major city, that contains at least two or more of these availability zones. When you launch a service on AWS, you choose a region to put it in, like Sydney or North Virginia. So let's bring it back to our analogy. A data center is a single giant warehouse for computers. An availability zone is a safe, separate neighborhood of these warehouses. An AWS region is a big city that contains these neighborhoods. Why does this matter? It's all about making sure your application never goes down. If one availability zone, one neighborhood, has a power outage or a problem, your application can still run perfectly in another availability zone within the same region. This design is the core of how AWS provides its high level of reliability. Okay, so now that we have the big picture, let's look at the technical names you'll see in the real world of AWS. While we think of regions as cities, AWS gives them specific code names. For example, the London region isn't called London in the console. It's called EU West 2. The North Virginia region is called US East 1. These are the names you'll use when you build your services. Within each of these regions, you have the availability zones. AWS guarantees that every region has a minimum of 2 availability zones to ensure reliability. Just like regions, they have specific names. They're just the region name with a letter added at the end. For example, in the EU West 2 region, the availability zones are named EU West 2A, EU West 2B, and so on. Finally, there's one more part of AWS's global network you need to know about: edge locations. Edge locations are not the same as regions or availability zones. Think of them as small, local offices for AWS that are much closer to your customers. Their main job is to deliver content, like videos or images, to your users super fast with very low latency. You'll find hundreds of these edge locations all over the world. They work alongside the regions to make sure that no matter where your users are, they have the best possible experience. Now we have learned the overview of AWS regions, availability zones, and edge locations. I hope you understood very well. See you in the next video.